Megyn, Duchess of Sussex, in her first ever podcast interview.
I just threw up a little in my mouth. But I just can't stand her. I just think she's such a phony. She never stops whining.
Hands down, this was the most painful to watch.
What makes Meghan Markle this diabolical?
Prove that you're enough. You have to prove that you're pretty enough. You have to prove that you're smart enough. You prove that you're a good wife or a good friend. And I was like, I am just so done with the prove it game, because I know that I'm a great friend, and I know the kind of mom I am, and I know the kind of human being I am, and I know how I show up.
She's talking about how hard is her life. I am not making this up. She's saying that she works so hard. I am pretty confident. I am pretty sure that whatever Meghan did in this 1 minute, she rehearsed that beforehand.
If you don't like her, it's not your fault. It's because she's extremely unlikable. She has the non-it factor. It's amazing. She's actually good at this.
She's not important. She married for money. It's very clear she bagged the elephant. She was thrilled she became a, quote, princess. It was planned from the beginning. I know someone who knows the ex-husband who said she had a vision board with Prince Harry on it. And
before they met?
Yes. All the young women in particular who worked for her quit in tears. She so wore them down. It was so nasty.
She's an American member of the British royal family, an entrepreneur, author, actor.
Of all things, it's making me emotional.
I have full body chills right now.
I found an old report card from when I was at Hollywood Schoolhouse. Maybe I was probably Archie's age.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's like, it's so inauthentic.
How many people do you know have to convince you that they're the happiest that they've ever been in their life? I mean, this is all a stage. This is all just Meghan Markle's stage. We're expected to buy it.
She's saying some things that a lot of people are finding like very annoying and very cringy.
My gosh, I work so hard. I appreciate what hard work looks like. I like working hard.
The whole thing is just so painful. I've just picked one little clip.
But she is a malignant narcissist who cannot get enough of herself while she simultaneously plays the victim.
But to the world, it's just, what has she been doing? Does she work? As opposed to, oh my gosh, I work so hard. And I
always said that Meghan Markle's brain should be studied by medical science.
What if everything you thought you knew about Meghan Markle was fake? The smiles, the tears, the podcasts, the royal titles. What if it was all just one long, perfectly scripted performance? Because the cracks in Meghan's carefully curated empire are starting to show. And trust me, it's not pretty. From an emotional podcast breakdown that viewers are calling Oscar-worthy, to a brutal on-air takedown by Megyn Kelly, to bombshell reports that Netflix and Spotify are both cutting ties, Meghan's public image isn't just wobbling. It's in full freefall. And if that weren't enough, insiders say the royal family may finally strip her of her title for good. Why? Because even her jam jars are causing international controversy. Yeah, jam jars. This isn't a redemption arc, it's a royal unraveling. And we're about to break down exactly how it all started falling apart. But it gets even darker than that. Because if the allegations are true, if Meghan Markle has been playing the long game this whole time, then the fairy tale wasn't just fake, it was weaponized. It was supposed to be a raw, vulnerable moment. Meghan Markle sat down for an emotional podcast appearance, voice cracking, eyes glistening, reading a heartfelt letter to her children. The music swelled, the tears flowed, the internet gagged. Because what was meant to be a soul-bearing confession came off more like a high-budget soap opera. And viewers weren't buying it. The most talked about moment? A single tear rolling from her left eye. Just one. Perfectly timed. Perfectly placed. Perfectly suspicious. People online immediately pointed out a bizarre pattern. That exact same left eye tear? It showed up during Queen Elizabeth's funeral. And again during a different interview. Some even joked she should copyright it. And here's the kicker. This isn't some wild fan theory. Meghan herself allegedly once joked on the set of Suits that she could cry on command. According to a crew member, she laughed while demonstrating it, saying "let I go." Coincidence? Maybe. But when your emotional breakdowns start looking like they were storyboarded in final draft, people notice. Especially when the podcast was promoted as authentic. Instead, critics say it played like an Oscar reel. And the cherry on top? Meghan casually claims she writes her kids, Archie and Lilibet, an email every single night. Like clockwork. Thousands of personal letters stored up for when they turn 18. Sounds sweet, right? Except she's supposedly juggling photo shoots, Netflix meetings, brand deals, press appearances, and now producing podcasts. And still finds time to write 6,000 personalized emails over the years? Critics called it unrealistic at best. a total fabrication at worst. As one commenter put it, she's not just a mom, she's a marketing machine. But if you thought the podcast was dramatic, just wait until you hear what Megyn Kelly had to say next. Because that's when the knives came out. If Megyn's podcast was a slow-motion eye roll, Megyn Kelly's reaction was a full-throttle detonation. Live on air, Kelly torched Markle's entire persona, calling her a malignant narcissist who faked emotion, manipulated the media, and ran her royal life like it was a Hollywood screenplay. But Kelly didn't stop at name-calling. She brought receipts, and what she revealed had jaws on the floor. According to a personal source, someone who allegedly knew Megyn's ex-husband, Meghan Markle had a vision board before she ever met Prince Harry. And on that board, a literal cutout of Prince Harry. Yes, years before their fairy tale romance, Megyn supposedly had a prince on her wall. Not in a charming, romantic teehee I love royals kind of way, but in a calculated, this is the role I'm going to play kind of way. Kelly laid it out plainly. This wasn't a spontaneous love story. It was a long con. A royal role Megyn auditioned for, and won. But it didn't stop with ambition. Kelly accused Megyn of weaponizing vulnerability, of centering herself in every narrative, of turning personal struggle into strategic branding. One example, a speech where Megyn reportedly said me 54 times. That's not storytelling. That's scripting a monologue. And the public started connecting the dots. From tear-jerking interviews to humble brag podcasts to charity speeches wrapped in luxury photo shoots. Everything started to feel rehearsed. The internet dubbed her the Method Duchess. And Megyn Kelly? She wasn't just commenting. She was pulling back the curtain and daring the world to look. But here's the twist. While Kelly was tearing Megyn down publicly, something else was unraveling in private. Because behind closed doors, Netflix execs were having very different conversations. In the leak that followed, that could be the beginning of the end. Remember when Megyn and Harry's Netflix deal was hyped as the streaming coup of the decade? A bold new era. A royal couple telling authentic stories. The trailer alone had dramatic pianos, aerial shots of Montecito, and Megyn whispering poetic things into a vintage microphone. Yeah, that didn't age well. Behind the scenes, Netflix execs weren't getting a powerful narrative. They were getting Meghan Markle interviewing Meghan Markle. According to leaked insider reports, the content was self-centered, directionless, and brace yourself, narcissistic. One UK reviewer didn't hold back. It's like watching a mood board with subtitles. And the numbers? Even uglier. Viewer retention was brutal. People were clicking in for the hype, and clicking out before the first episode even finished. One source claimed the only reason a second season was greenlit was contractual obligation. Not quality, not audience demand, and certainly not performance. Then came the cherry on the crumbling sundae. An American celebrity chef, reportedly involved with the project, claimed the show felt forced and fake. Netflix's response? Threatened legal action. Because nothing says we believe in this content, like trying to silence the people involved with it. Internally, the mood was shifting. Fast. Executives allegedly described the project as a brand extension exercise, rather than compelling storytelling. The idea was never to create a royal reality show. It was to tell real moving stories. Instead, they got glamour shots of Megyn baking pies and whispering affirmations over soft piano music. She even signed off an episode with "Love Megyn," like she was penning a letter from the throne of a Pinterest board. Now, insiders say Netflix is quietly pulling the plug. New projects shelved, resources reallocated. One source flat out called it the Megyn problem. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, Spotify sprinted for the exit. Literally. If Netflix was a slow ghosting, Spotify was a public dumping, with receipts. Back in 2020, Megyn and Harry inked a $25 million podcast deal with Spotify. The goal? Authentic conversations. Empowering voices. The usual buzzwords. The result? 12 episodes of Megyn talking about Megyn. Her flagship show, Archetypes, was supposed to challenge stereotypes women face. Instead, it became a monologue marathon where A-list guests were occasionally allowed to breathe between Markle's carefully scripted reflections. Even her team couldn't fake enthusiasm. Behind the scenes, producers reportedly grew frustrated. Megyn allegedly micromanaged every script, rejected ideas that didn't center on her, and demanded control over everything. Creativity? Out. Control? All in. According to one leaked account, working with Megyn was like being stuck in a group project, where one person talks, takes the credit, and still complains they did all the work. And then came the death blow. After months of underwhelming numbers, poor retention, and rising internal tension, Spotify pulled the plug. Officially, it was a mutual decision. Unofficially, Spotify execs felt played. One former executive didn't hold back, calling the show feminist fluff, and accusing Megyn of delivering none of what was promised. The audience agreed. Archetypes failed to crack the top 10 podcasts for more than a few days, even with massive promotion. And when people did tune in, most didn't finish the episodes. Retention was a flat line. So let's do some royal math. $25 million paid. 12 episodes released. 0 impact made. That's more than $2 million per episode of Meghan Markle saying, "I'm enough," into a gold-plated microphone. And with Spotify officially out, Netflix scaling back, and the media whispering overexposed behind closed doors, Meghan's media empire started crumbling. But it wasn't just corporate deals collapsing. Her royal clout was taking hits too. Because somehow, jam entered the scandal chat. Just when you thought Meghan's public image couldn't get more bizarre, enter the jam jars. Yes, somehow a jar of homemade jam ignited a royal controversy. Why? Because it was signed in Meghan's handwriting, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. Cute. Maybe. Until you remember, she was officially stripped of the Her Royal Highness title after leaving the royal family in 2020. And yet, here she is, slapping it on fruit spread like it's a business card from Buckingham Palace. The reaction? Nuclear. The View panel tore her apart live on air. Alyssa Farah Griffin called it petty. Whoopi Goldberg audibly groaned. Even Sunny Hostin, normally sympathetic, cringed at the desperation. But it wasn't just talk show snark. Behind palace walls, royal insiders were reportedly livid. Some claim Prince William is waiting for the throne, just so he can officially strip Meghan of the Duchess title altogether. Cold? Maybe. But given the public backlash, it's not hard to see why. Because here's the thing. This wasn't just a signature. It was a message. It screamed, "I may have walked away, but I'm still royal. And don't you forget it." To critics, this move confirmed what they've been saying all along. Meghan sees the royal connection not as a responsibility, but as a brand. Every time she signs Duchess, releases a documentary, or stages an emotional podcast moment, it's not about service. It's about strategy. Even fans started asking tough questions. Why cling to a title you say traumatized you? Why rail against the crown while stamping it on jam jars? It was giving self-awareness, zero. But the jam was just the cherry on top of a much darker allegation. That Meghan's private behavior, especially with staff, doesn't just contradict her public persona, it obliterates it. And that's exactly where we're heading next. On camera, Meghan Markle radiates compassion. She preaches self-love, empowerment, and emotional healing like a walking Pinterest board. But behind the curtain, insiders say it's a totally different show, and nobody's smiling. Former staffers from both Kensington Palace and Montecito have painted a disturbingly consistent picture. Working for Meghan was not a dream. It was a breakdown waiting to happen. Turnover was sky-high. Assistants and aides reportedly quit in tears, some within weeks. Not because of royal pressure or long hours, but because of her. One palace staffer allegedly fled after just 6 months, telling friends she'd never been treated so badly in her professional life. Others described Meghan as cold, demanding, and when cameras were off, explosive. And it didn't stop when she left London. Employees at her California-based company reportedly faced the same toxic energy. One anonymous staffer described the job as psychological warfare, with Meghan expecting perfection 24/7, giving zero praise unless it boosted her image, and creating a culture of fear behind closed doors. Meetings were said to be grueling. Feedback, not welcome, unless it was "You're amazing, Meghan." Anything else was allegedly met with passive aggression or worse. Even senior-level staff reportedly walked out mid-projects, saying no amount of prestige or pay was worth the stress. And that's what really hit people. Because the disconnect between Meghan's public persona and her alleged private behavior wasn't just surprising, it was disturbing. This is someone who speaks on global stages about kindness and empathy, who talks about emotional healing while her own staff allegedly suffered from burnout, fear, and emotional manipulation. As one former employee bluntly put it, "You can't champion compassion on camera and cause chaos off it." Critics argue this pattern of behavior undercuts everything Meghan claims to stand for. It's not empowerment if everyone around you is miserable. It's not mindfulness if the only calm person in the room is the one cashing the checks. And yet, despite all this, Meghan keeps doubling down. She continues to present herself as misunderstood, misjudged, and mistreated. But at some point, even her most loyal fans started squinting. Is she the victim of a cruel media machine? Or the architect of her own downfall? So who is Meghan Markle really? Is she the resilient duchess who challenged a centuries-old institution? Or is she a master manipulator who's been rewriting her script every time the reviews get bad? Because at this point, even her defenders are struggling to keep up. To some, she's a survivor, an outsider who endured racism, elitism, and brutal tabloid attacks just for marrying the man she loved. She walked into the royal family and tried to modernize it. She left when it got toxic. Respect. But to others, she's a shapeshifter, a brand in heels. One moment she's rejecting the spotlight, the next she's dropping a Netflix docuseries with soft-focused lighting and dramatic violins. One day she's advocating for women's rights. The next she's allegedly plagiarizing a children's book. One week she's just a mom, and the next she's booking back-to-back media deals and walking red carpets in custom Dior. Even the way she speaks, the pauses, the hand gestures, the whispered voice like she's narrating a Disney documentary, feels rehearsed. It's not that people don't believe in growth. It's that they've seen this show before, and they're starting to realize it's the same episode with a different filter. Social media is full of side-by-sides now. The tears, the self-references, the quotes about being enough, while standing in a $14 million mansion next to Oprah. The contradictions are stacking up, and the public's patience is running out. She claims she doesn't crave attention, but everything she does is designed to capture it. She talks about transparency, but dodges every tough question. She promotes empathy, while allegedly leaving emotional wreckage in her wake. And that's why the backlash is different now. It's not just the tabloids. It's regular people saying, wait a minute, have we been sold a product instead of a person? Because what started as a royal fairy tale is now looking more like a rebrand with a tiara. And the world, it's catching on. But just when you think Meghan's empire couldn't take another hit, Netflix made a move behind the scenes. Quiet, cold, and potentially final. Just when you thought the drama peaked, Netflix delivered the final twist by doing absolutely nothing. No announcements, no press releases, no flashy teasers, just silence. According to insider leaks, Netflix has quietly put all of Meghan Markle's future projects on indefinite pause. Not canceled, not greenlit, just frozen. And in Hollywood, that's code for, we're done here. The streaming giant is reportedly reevaluating its entire strategy, and Meghan's name, once considered a guaranteed draw, is now seen as a liability, a risk, a headline magnet for all the wrong reasons. After underwhelming viewership, internal backlash, and audience fatigue, Netflix executives allegedly concluded what the public already suspected. People aren't buying the Meghan Markle brand anymore. What began as a groundbreaking media partnership between streaming royalty and actual royalty has devolved into an awkward, expensive standoff. The kind where everyone smiles for the cameras, then walks away muttering, never again. And here's the poetic twist. Meghan built her media empire on vulnerability, emotion, and the art of being enough. But when the cameras stopped rolling, the numbers didn't lie. Viewers wanted real stories, not monologues in designer loungewear. Spotify is out. Netflix is fading. Her royal cloud is fraying. And her image? More scripted than ever. Megyn Kelly didn't just critique a podcast. She cracked the whole facade wide open. And now, as Meghan's titles hang by a thread, her content stalls, and even her jam sparks outrage, the question isn't just what happened. It's what's left. Does Meghan retreat into privacy like she once claimed to want? Or does she reinvent herself again? This time without a crown, a contract, or a platform. Because one thing's for sure, the Meghan Markle we once knew, the modern duchess, the media darling, the misunderstood queen of vulnerability, might already be gone. And as the curtain falls on this royal spectacle, the final mystery remains. Where does the performance end? And where does the real Meghan begin?